Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? It is Monday, and that means it is Facebook Live time. I'm so excited that you're here. Excuse me. Oh, good. Someone's on. I was like, oh my gosh, no one's there. Usually somebody pops on pretty quick. Maybe it was because I was right on time, and usually I'm like a minute late. You'd be surprised all the activity that goes on here in the last seconds before live starts. Including my assistant is here. Whitney is telling me, oh, did you want your catalog labels to have your current address or your old address? And I went with the current one. Why not? So that was a little embarrassing, not gonna lie. Oops. Okay, so today we have exciting stuff, but I'm not putting my lips on for just a minute, and I'll show you why. But there's lots to talk about. I hope you guys are ready for some fun. I've got some great projects today. I'm actually taking care of several older requests of projects that people have been asking for a while. So like one is no line watercoloring. I've been meaning to do that for a while, and we're going to do that today. And I've also had several requests for the woven heirlooms frames, and so we're going to do those today. And then I've also had requests from various people asking for the new embossing plate and what the sandwich is for all the new embossing folders. So we're going to talk about that as well. So lots of good stuff today in our live, I think. I mean, of course I'm biased, but so I'm trying to think what stories I have to tell you. School starts on Friday, and I, for one, could not be more excited. I'm not one of those moms who's like, oh, my kids are going to school. I'm like, my kids are not going to bug me all day long. I'm very excited about that. I do love my kids, don't get me wrong, but I believe wholeheartedly that all parents should be away from their children for, in the teen years, sometimes as much as possible. Okay, maybe not really, but oh my gosh, I need a break from my kids. So my daughter's been in my office like 4 times today, asking stuff, needing something, wanting something, telling me something. My son decided today would be a good day to sleep till 11, and he has not done that. I don't want to say ever, but like he's not a late sleeper, and now he's decided to become a teenager, and summer is over. So he's going to have a super fun time when he has to pick up the bus it comes at 6:44 a.m. So that'll be fun for him. But anyway, I'm excited to get back into the swing of things, though I cannot believe my daughter is going to be a senior this year. That does not seem possible. So I hope that everybody is going to be okay here, like me. So, Tracy, do I have a Facebook group for my retreat? Yes, it is set up. Your confirmation email has the information about that. So, speaking of my retreat, I just talked to the hotel, and if you've been trying to get a room, or if you thought the room block was full, it's not. She just added a whole bunch of rooms, and that will be awesome. If you are wanting a roommate, go to the retreat Facebook page, and there is a place where you can hook up with people. That sounds bad. Yeah. Okay, not hook up. With people. As my dear friend Kelly and I always say, and Barb, when rooming together, you can spoon, just don't fork. That's my favorite saying. When you share a hotel room and, like the 3 of us share a hotel room, you have to be there. So yeah, I just had to laugh about that. Yes, you can spoon, just don't fork. That's good advice in general. Yeah, in life. Okay, and then someone said, what's up with Facebook jail? Yeah, what is up with Facebook jail, Facebook? Despite writing a private message to Mark Zuckerberg, to Facebook, and to Facebook business, they did not seem to care about my situation. And so I was in Facebook jail yet again. I do believe I figured out the problem, and it was posting reminders for my Facebook Live. They don't like when you have too many. And so despite the fact that I've been doing the exact same thing for literally like 2 or 3 years at the same time in the same groups and the same stuff, they decided now to penalize me for it. So, okay. But I am out, and I think I know what my problem is, or what their problem is, should I say. So anyway, I have to share with you, I got a little gift package, and I'll flip the camera so you can see this in a minute, but I wanted to put on some new lipstick. This came to me in the mail, and I have 2 colors, but this is a Sexy Mother Pucker lip plumping gloss that I got in 2 shades. So we're going to put the light one on because the dark one would kind of clash with my outfit. But see, Sexy Mother Pucker. Be careful when you say that. Okay, so we're going to put this on. It smells good. And then here we go. So I'll show you that. It looks good. Are my lips plumping? I don't know. Say hi, Whitney.
Oh, hello.
Okay, so that is Pink Out Loud is the color. And then I also have, oh, the berry thing. You can try it. I like adding color, but this is like dark. But we'll see. Ooh. We'll see. Maybe it's not as dark in person on, you know? Oh yeah. That's not so bad. Ooh, I like that. There we go. Actually, I like that. 2 is better than 1. Okay, so anyway, I do have so much to go through with you, to do with you today. So we're gonna flip things around and get started. Oh my, I feel things happening on my lips. It's like tingly. It really is tingly. I feel things. Interesting. Okay, there you go. I don't know where she got this, so. All right, let's go. I'm gonna flip the camera, so close your eyes for a second. Oh my gosh, I seriously, like, can feel tingling. Like,
that's the plumper working.
It is. Like, stuff is happening on my lips. I feel it. It's weird. Whitney's dying. Like, oh my gosh, Dina. Okay, so I have some cards to share with you that have come. Seriously, it's doing weird stuff. I've never felt lip gloss. My lips have never felt quite like this before. That's really fascinating. Okay, so I did get some cards in the mail. This one is from one of my downline, Greta. She is a really beautiful stamper, and I really like this. It's kind of different. I think this is the Floral Essence, paper. Seriously, my lips feel funny. I can't, like, I keep wanting to rub them together. But anyway, she sent me a very sweet card in the mail, so thank you, Greta. And then this one, okay, my husband liked this. He explained it to me what this was, but now I forgot. I don't know. But he really liked this card, and the reason was because of this Post-it that was on here. It said, Dina, please forgive for what you are going to see inside, your friend Sonia. And I don't know if you're on here, Sonia. I haven't seen you, but oh my gosh, it just cracked me up because I opened it up and it was upside down. I so feel your pain because I totally have this problem myself. So anyway, this is a really pretty card that Sonia sent me. So thank you, Sonia, and thank you for your order. I appreciate it. So that was good for a giggle, and my husband even enjoyed it, so that was kind of fun. All right, and then this is another sweet card. This is from Nancy. Oh, Nancy's so sweet. Nancy is my friend in Arizona. Oh my gosh, my lips are still like... Okay, sorry. This is a great set. This is called Floral Shop, I believe. It's been retired now for a while, but I loved that set. Was a good set. So thank you so much, Nancy. Here is another beautiful card. Isn't this pretty? This features the it's not the Good Morning Magnolia. It's like the companion set that goes with it. It's, what is it called? I'm looking on my shelf to see if I can find the set. It's in our new customer, or not new customer, our beginner brochure. Oh my gosh, I don't see it. So anyway, you guys are probably telling me, oh, magnolia blooms. Should just look at this. Anyway, this is from one of my Mary Ellen Mosbo. So thank you, Mary Ellen. Here's another sweet and simple card. I just love this from Nancy. Thank you so much, Nancy. And another sweet card. This one is from Janine. I think that's how you say it. But I love this. She used just one strip of that a little lace set. And I know somebody has asked for this twice now, and I don't have it today, but I promise I will get that in. So also I have to share, this is the card that I got, which this is such a cute one. This was the little kit that we had when the Stampin' Blends first came out, but this was from Debbie, and she's just the sweetest. She always makes me feel like a superstar, but she's the one who sent this lip plumping stuff, and oh my gosh, it totally is like, I had no idea this is what plump lips felt like, because it's still tingling. So that's going to be fun. Okay. All right. Seriously, I've never, I swear I've had lip plumping stuff before, but I don't know. This is new and fancy. Okay, so I do have 2 stamp sets to give away today for my Facebook Live drawing. So these 2 sets are drawn from people who shared my Facebook Live video or who placed an order with me. You all got entries into the drawing. And make sure to claim your stamp set that you email me in the next 2 weeks with your mailing address to this email, drico@yahoo.com. Very simple. Just email me your mailing address and I will send your stamp set. Even if you think I know it, because that's how you claim it. That's how I know you want it. Your stamp set, that is. Gosh, that sounded bad too. Jeez, what is wrong here today? All right. So our first winner is Julie Braby. And Julie, I was kind of excited to draw your name. She's been a longtime customer of mine from my old town in Iowa. So congratulations, Julie. And this is the You Are So Loved stamp set. And I was just looking at this. These are really pretty words, aren't they? Okay, and then the second set is for Megan Anderson. So congratulations to both of you ladies. Make sure that you email me with your mailing address and I will get these in the mail. So congratulations to both of you. Once more, Julie Braby and Megan Anderson. All right. Next up, okay, so I've had requests. Well, actually, we're not going to do that first. We're going to do a different card first because it's got a technique on it that's kind of cool. So this is shameless class plug alert. Just so you know, full disclosure. I have the Friend Like You online class, or this is my Creativity to Go kit for this month, and it is a really, 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 really awesome class. if I can just say. I am very excited about it. So if you haven't signed up for it, you definitely should. The cutoff is this week, so make sure you get registered. I sent an email out about it earlier today if you're on my mailing list, my newsletter list. So make sure you sign up for it. But we're going to do a really cool technique, but we have to do it in 2 parts. Okay, so I'm going to start the project right now, and then we're going to come back to it and finish it later. Now, there are other ways to do this, but I found that this way worked actually pretty well. And please know that there are other ways, and I totally get that, but this is what I'm doing. I'm taking my liquid glue and I'm going to mask off a portion of my watercolor paper. This is just our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. So I'm going to take this and just draw a circle, and then I'm going to put a fairly thick amount of glue on here. And in case anybody was keeping track, my lips are still tingling. Okay, then I'm going to take my finger, and I don't like doing this too often, but I'm gonna, because I love y'all. And I'm going to smear this around into a good looking circle. That's fine.
Okay.
Love y'all. Run hard. Okay. So there we go. All right. And I'm going to take and wipe that off of my finger. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. We're going to come back to this way later. Okay. Like it's got to really dry. So I'm going to take my glued piece of paper and get rid of it. And then we're going to go back, and I will shamelessly plug for my online class again in a little bit. But for now, we're done with this project, okay? But wait until you see, guys, because it's amazing. Now, in the meantime, we're going to do a super awesome card and technique, which is called no line watercoloring. And I've had several requests for this. And this is one that I've done in the past, but I hadn't done in a while, and I kind of wanted to brush up before I was trying to teach you to do it, to make sure that I taught you nicely, you know. So I'm going to use the stamp set, and do I have it out and handy? It is called Hoot Hoot Hooray, and we talked about this stamp set before. It is one of those sets from that beginner brochure. You can find it on the online store. It's just not in the annual catalog. But this beautiful stamp set, and by the way, this is that online catalog, or the beginner brochure that I was talking about. So this is that Magnolia Bloom stamp set I mentioned just a few minutes ago. And then this is the Hoot Hoot Hooray stamp set. It's a really cute stamp set. And the first thing I will tell you when doing no line watercoloring is to pick a very simple design to start with, and don't do anything with like really complicated lines or like sketchy lines or lots of detail, because you'll kind of want to throw your project away just because it gets complicated. Okay. And you'll see. So I'm going to use this really simple daisy because it's really easy. I thought about using this, but I'm sticking with the daisy. Okay. And then you want to choose a really light ink color. So I'm going to use Sahara Sand, and then I'm going, and a neutral color too. And I'm going to stamp it off twice. Okay. And when I do that, what's left is not much. Okay. So you can almost barely see it on here, and that's just fine. You also will need, of course, an aqua painter. And then I highly recommend having a rag. This is a burp rag. You've seen me use it a bunch of times before. So for this, I'm going to just choose some really simple colors. So I'm going to use crushed curry, old olive, and soft suede to create the coloring on here. Okay, and to do that, I just want to pick up some of the ink from inside. I can also squirt re-inker in here or on a block or whatever. And then I want my aqua painter. Now I recommend, if your aqua painter is not in good shape, to find the best one you have. And then also get the water flowing, but get it under control. So sometimes when you squeeze the water out, a lot of water comes out. And sometimes, and do you see like I'm getting drips because it's still kind of flowing? So I want to get that under control and make sure that it's not still flowing. So you want to start with kind of a dry, wet brush in your aqua painter. Does that make sense? So now I can see it's not like dripping out anymore. It's dried out. So that's good. Okay. And I know this is going to be a little tricky to see just because it's so light on here, but as soon as I get going, you'll see. Now, the other thing is you're going to pick up that, color, and you kind of want to make sure you can get some color down and have good control over where it's going. So that's where you want to make sure you don't have it too drippy wet. So wipe it off on that rag. I'm constantly wiping here. That's a little out of the frame, but there, we'll move it over so you can see it better. So you just want to make sure you have it under control. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start drawing. And what I want to do is just kind of outline the image. And I'm going over the petal, and it's a little wet. So I'm going to dry off my brush a little bit, pick up some more, and then just kind of outline my image. And then we'll come back and fill it in. But I'm just sort of following the outline of my image. Like I said, getting rid of that extra water as necessary. Lip check, still fuzzy, tingly. Just so you all know. Okay, I'm going to come back in and kind of blend that out. Get rid of my water, blend to the center. I don't want to go too far without blending. Again, getting rid of that water and then blending. If I need to, I can add a little bit of more color in here. Okay, and then we'll keep on going. Sometimes it works best to do one little petal at a time. It's just kind of what you're comfortable with. I would say, though, that absolutely 150% you have to use watercolor paper for this. You cannot use shimmery white. You cannot use regular white. It has to be watercolor paper. The new watercolor paper that Stampin' Up! Has this year is much better than what we used to carry, so that's what I am actually using. And it works really nicely. Okay, now you might be thinking to yourself, well, gee whiz, all you've done is color that in the petals. Yes, that is true, but we're going to come back and do some more to this. Okay, so first of all, I like to keep my image handy. So if you look at this, you can see there's like little lines on here, but there's only on like some of the petals. I'm going to do it on all of the petals, just so you know. But before I draw those lines in, I want to make sure that everything is kind of dry on here. And I also sort of want my interior of my petals to be a little lighter. So I'm literally just going over it with a clean brush, and I'm kind of wiping away here, and that actually removes a little bit of the color. Okay, and then I get some nice shading. That first petal is just a little darker than I wanted, but I think I got some more. Okay, so then do you see that? So that looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to let that dry completely, and I'm going to get into my old olive ink. Okay, now here again, I really want to make sure that I've got a nice tip on my aqua painter. And let me give you an example of a bad tip in case you're like, well, how does it look? Here, well, okay, so this is a bad example. This is one I've kind of reserved for black, but you can see the tip is pretty frayed. It's This is one of my oldest aqua painters, so I just kind of reserve this for when I do black. Oh, this one's really good. I'm looking to see. I have a bad one around here because I used it the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, what a disaster that one was. As far as trying to keep the, oh yeah, see, I replaced a bunch of my aqua painters fairly recently. But where, I do have a bad one around here. It is. Okay, here. Now, this is airing my dirty laundry. Look at how ridiculous this one looks. Aqua painters have been out for almost 20 years, I think. So it's time, people, if you have original aqua painters, you might consider a fresh one. I'm just saying. Okay. Having said all that, let's get back into this. I'm going to actually turn this upside down because I found it worked a little easier. And then I'm just going to draw a thin line on my stem like so. And again, here you can see this is where I want my aqua painter to be nice and precise. Okay, I'm going to outline the petal or the leaves just like I did the petals. And I'll draw in that stem. And then we'll come back. Now, generally when I watercolor, I kind of go, I don't want to say hog wild, but, and again, I'm going to use my design here for reference, just to make sure I'm painting the correct things. But I'm usually pretty messy with my watercoloring, and on this, I want to be pretty precise about my watercoloring. So you definitely need to be more patient to do this technique. It is not a beginner technique, but it is fun and relaxing, and if you like to color, I recommend trying it out. If you're intimidated by it, though, again, the more simple the design, the more success you will have. And you won't be annoyed by the process. Okay. So now I'm just gonna kind of come in and fill those leaves in with color. And if I lose some of that detail, I can just kind of add it back once it's dry. Okay. So there we go. Now I'm looking at my daisy leaves and I don't like them. So I'm just going to go back in and make sure I get water blended a little bit better over each petal. And then that should take care of what I don't like, but I think it's going to look good. Now here again, it's okay to have in your possession a heat tool to speed this process along. So I just re-wet all those petals so they would look a little more uniform. And now I'm drying them. So I don't have to wait because I don't want to wait, and I'm guessing you guys don't either. Okay, so now I'm going to come back in, add that line in here just a little bit. And you still shade just like you did before, but it's just a little bit different. It's you want to, like before, I might kind of really get rid of those shading lines. Like I try to kind of cover them up, but now I want to add them back in. Okay. And yes, Janie, I know a paper towel definitely will take away that. I just didn't want to take away too much because otherwise that can get into a lengthy back and forth process too. Okay, so now I'm going to take my soft suede and I'm going to do the center on this. Okay. And here we go. This is the nerve-wracking part because up to this point we've done a pretty good job of getting a good looking image going here. And now we want to make sure we keep that. So I'm going to go around the edge a little darker. And then it'll be just a little lighter in the center. Okay, and there we go. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna stick with. It's not perfect. I'll show you the one I did before. Actually, that's not true. I wanna do one more thing, sorry. I totally lied. I wanna add a little bit darker, those little veins I wanna add back into my petals. And so I just squeezed so I could get a little bit more ink. And again, I'm just verifying, and I'm going to do a little bit on each petal, even though it didn't show each petal in my image. But here's where you can take a little creative license. And I think this definitely makes it look good. Okay, so there we go. So that looks pretty good. All right. So here again is my image, and then here is my no line watercoloring. Now, to finish off my card, what I want to do is take and stamp that sentiment, because it did stamp on here, but it's really light. So I want to make sure I can see it, or my person who I give this to can see it. So I'm just going to clean off my stamp. And then I'm going to take a Post-it note. And this is on here kind of crooked, so I'm going to straighten it out. I'm going to cover up my flower, ink this in soft suede ink, remove the Post-it, a very important step. Don't forget that. Okay, and then I'm just going to stamp this on a little scrap of watercolor paper. This was left over actually from trimming out my cardstock, or my watercolor paper. And then I'm going to just take and do the ends with my triple banner punch. And hopefully this will be, yeah, not bad. Okay, so you made my day, and then I'm just going to pop that up right below to cover up this lightly stamped part. Okay, so we got through it. Oh my gosh, it's a little nerve-wracking. And like I said, I'll show you my practice trial before I did this for you guys. So I'll just stamp or pop that up right on there. Okay, so here's the one I did beforehand without you guys watching. I like it. They're both pretty good. So, either one. All right. So let's put this card together. I'm going to adhere it to a layer of crumb cake cardstock. And what did I do with my liquid glue? Oh, here it is. Just right there in front of me. So I'm just going to adhere this. Like I said, a really, really simple card is so easy to do if you have a bigger image, like for instance, that magnolia from the big magnolia set, you know, the big gargantuan one. I've watercolored that before on here. This one, that's going to take some serious time, people. So, I mean, like that could easily add up to almost an hour of coloring. If you are one of those people, that's fine. Go for it. But if you're too impatient to do that, just be warned. All right. I have a crushed curry card base that I'm going to use, and I've embossed a 4 by 5 1/4, or no, a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch. So basically a quarter sheet, the whole panel. I embossed that with the tin tile embossing folder. I do it separately because I find it's tough to get a good looking embossed panel on the front of a card. I think this looks a little nicer to do its own panel versus fold the card, try to get it embossed, etc. Now, that is the perfect segue into my next card, which is going to talk all about embossing folders and how we have different kinds, especially if you have any embossing folders from last year's catalog. So we're going to talk about it in depth here. So I'll tell you how I got that. And then and then you can make your own. I kept this card very simple. You can see I covered up a lot of that embossing, but I really like the look of this because then the focus really is on the watercoloring. If you get too busy in all of the stuff you add onto a card, sometimes that definitely takes away from the coloring you've done, and you want that to be the focus. But this just adds a little bit of extra detail without it being too overbearing. So there you go. First card. All right. So I definitely encourage you to give it a try. If you are nervous about it, start with a really, really small image. I mean, no judging, a little teeny heart, and then go from there. All right. So on our next card here, we're going to talk about embossing folders. And as you probably have figured out, when we got rid of the Big Shot, we changed up a little bit of our offering. So now we have what are called 3D embossing folders. And what did I do? I have a catalog around here because I marked the pages.
Your catalog?
Yeah. Is it? Oh, thank you. Okay, so in my catalog, look at, I marked it, embossing folders. We have new embossing folders, but some of these are returning embossing folders. So for instance, we used to have a basket weave embossing folder in the old texture dynamic embossing folder, okay, those really thick ones. But now the new version of this is a little bit thinner because we don't have the Big Shot and Sizzix is not manufacturing our dies and folders anymore. We have a slightly different version of this. So to make up for that, we need a little bit different sandwich with our embossing folders going through the Big Shot. Okay, so let me talk about that. Okay, so if you have one of our old folders, so for instance, the Subtle Embossing folder came out a year ago in the annual catalog, and you can see this is one of those big, thick ones, all right? This one is going to go on your platform with one piece of cutting plastic, like that. Boom. Okay. There's no thin die adapter because that is just for thin dies, hence the name thin die adapter. So you only use this when you're using thin dies. Okay. So your sandwich is just your plate and the folders, or the folder and the plastic. If you have one of our regular embossing folders, the super skinny ones, the standard ones we've had for a long time, those ones are the lighter color in our catalog now. Those folders are going to be on this same platform, and there's going to be two pieces of plastic, okay? So you'll have the folder, or I'm sorry, the plastic, the folder, your cardstock, of course, and another piece of plastic, and you run it through your Big Shot. Okay? Now, here's where things get complicated, is we have new 3D embossing folders. So this is a 3D embossing folder. This is the equivalent in last year's Texture Dynamic. You can see this one is a little thicker. It's that Subtle from last year. But this is a new one called the Scripty folder. Okay? And there are several new ones, and they are all these darker colored ones in the catalog. Now you can see I've Post-it notes over 3 of them: the tufted, the corrugated, and the layered leaves. These 3 folders are currently not available to order because they're waiting to get them from the new supplier. So long story short, you just gotta wait. They've kind of every couple weeks, a new one has been coming out, like the Pinewood planks was not available for a long time, and now it is. So I'm hoping these will be back in stock and ready to order again very soon, but there we go. Okay, so let's talk about how to do one of these new folders. So one of these new folders, because the thickness is different, you need a different plate. So you can use your regular cutting plastic with one of these new folders, but to take up that extra width, because this is skinnier than the old folder. So the skinnier folder, you can either add about 5 sheets of cardstock, or you can get a new embossing plate from Stampin' Up. So these are available to purchase from Stampin' Up for $10. For some reason, they're not actually listed in the catalog. And I'm not sure why that is. They just, I don't know, because maybe they weren't ready right away. So whatever. They are available now. And to make up for that, this week, my ordering special is you'll get a free plate if you spend $75 in my online store and use our host code. I'll talk more about that at the end, but this way you can get a plate for free as a gift from me. Okay, so to do this one, you're just going to do your multi-purpose platform, your 3D embossing folder. So that's going to be any brand new ones that came out this year or ones we haven't had before. So for instance, the new heirloom one. Okay. So you're going to cut, or you're going to run this through with this as your cutting plastic. This is a little bit thicker, and it's hard to see because this plate has been well used, but it is a little bit thicker than a regular piece of cutting plastic. Okay. What do you do if you still have the old tabs system? So Terry, you're still going to use the same plates you would the same tab that you would normally use for an embossing folder on there, and just look at the tab. I don't recall what it is. I want to say it's tab 1. It's whatever you would run embossing folders, and there's a picture on it, so you should be able to tell. Okay, so just like this one has the embossing folder platform, that's what you see. And then if you're doing dies, you add the thin die adapter. Okay, same thing with that plate. I think you do have one tab down, but it should be, it's whatever the picture is on there. Okay, all right. So having explained all of that business to you, by the way, when this goes on my blog, so if you're watching this on a replay and my blog post is up, or if you're watching it on YouTube, I will explain each of those sandwiches written out for you. Okay. All right. Now we're going to make an awesome card. Now that we explained all that. When you are embossing, you can do some really cool stuff. So I wanted to show you a couple of different things. So first of all, I took and die cut one of the frames from the heirloom, what is it called? Woven Heirlooms bundle. And this is just a die cut piece just to show you how this works. But then I want to take the frame itself, and goodness, I think I just threw it down. Hold on. Okay, so I've die cut the cardstock, and then I'm going to put this in my folder. And what I want to do is make sure it's centered in here, like so. Okay, so it's just got a little skinny border around the whole thing, nice and even. So I'll close that up, run it through my Big Shot. Again, I'm going to use that blue mat, that new embossing plate, the blue one I just showed you. Okay, so when I do that, this is what I get. By the way, I had a different color. All right, so this beautiful frame was embossed after I cut the die cut. Okay, so I die cut it first, then I embossed it. Oh, so pretty. Okay, so let's make this beautiful. Okay, so if you have, I'm seeing people say, oh, I just have a Cricut, well, or the Cuttlebug. If you're going to use the exact same sandwich you did before, it's just the plate is different. So if you used to use one piece of plastic and whatever platform you had before, like I think Cricut does ABCs or whatever, I'm not positive. So you'll still use the same platform, but instead of the one cutting plate you used to use, you'll just substitute the blue one. Okay. And but full disclosure, I don't know if that fits in a Cricut Cuttlebug. Pardon me. I'm not 100% sure because I don't have one of those. Okay, so let's make a card with this. So I started with, this is a purple Posy frame. Okay, and then I'm actually going to use the stamp set Butterfly Wishes, which may or may not be out. I don't see it. Oh, it is out. I was going to say I thought I had it out. So this is a really pretty stamp set, and I've had some requests for this. So let me show you a pretty card. This is based on a card I saw at, well, it was a swap card on the cruise when I was in Greece. So what I'm going to do is take and stamp, ooh, but I'm missing one of my images. Hey, Whitney, can I ask you a funny favor? Actually, never mind. Hold on, guys. I'm fine.
You sure?
Yep. Sorry, my husband was texting something important and I had to answer him. Okay. Doesn't he know I'm live? I mean, I'm live every Monday. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and stamp this beautiful image around my piece of crumb cake. And you can see this is one of those distinctive images. So there's kind of lighter and darker areas on here. It's so pretty. And then I just kind of have created a background, which is lovely. Okay. I'm also going to take and do the same thing on a piece of Whisper White, and this is going to fit below my frame. Okay. So I'm going to ink this up and stamp it off just so it's not quite as vibrant, I suppose. All right. So here we go. Still gorgeous. All right. Now this will go right over the top. So I think I will put some liquid glue on here. And just set that down right there. Let that baby set up. Okay. And it's mostly straight. All right. So I'm going to set that aside for a minute. I'm also going to take the butterfly image. And I'm going to stamp that in Highland Heather. Onto a scrap of white. Okay, good. I was like, oh my gosh, did I just ink that up in the wrong color? I did not. All right, and look at the detail on that. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, so we're gonna fussy cut this out really quick. Now, we've talked about this before, but in case you missed it, the purple Posy ink pad should be back soon. I don't have a date, but it passed the quality test and it is now into production. And so I'm positive it will be available soon, but they probably want to wait until they have enough in stock so that all of us crazy people who want it can get it. Or all of us who have defective ones can get replacements, and then they can start getting them out to all the people who haven't ordered them yet or couldn't order them yet. So just to keep you posted on that. But Highland Heather looks just lovely with purple Posy, I've come to discover. So I'm just going to add a little bit of white to the fussy cutting of this butterfly. And then, there we go. So pretty. Okay. Then we're going to, now I embossed this, right? I'm also going to take this piece and emboss it as well. And it just adds kind of a nice touch. So I did that ahead of time just so you didn't have to wait for me to emboss it. And I use the Scripty embossing folder, which by the way is the best folder ever. I love it. You should have it if you don't. It's awesome. Okay, so there is my embossed piece. And then I'm going to use a coordinating folder or card base in Highland Heather. So our colors are Highland Heather, Purple Posy, and Crumb Cake. So I'll adhere this right to my card. And then I've got my frame that I've done. I'm going to add a little layer to this in Highland Heather just to kind of pull those colors together. Okay, I also want to do this. I probably should have done this before I glued my frame on, but that's okay. I'm going to use one of the sentiments in this stamp set, which, again, the set is Butterfly Wishes. There's the set again. So it's got a bunch of different sentiments in here, which are nice. And I'm just going to stamp that in the corner here. Oh, perfect. Okay, so then I will adhere this to my Highland Heather panel. So really pretty. Okay, now I die cut my beautiful little butterfly. And I'm going to put that right about here, popped up onto my card. And I wanted to be able to kind of add a little embellishment to this without it being too thick or too overbearing. So I'll just add that right there. So for that, I'm going to take my Purple Posy scalloped edge ribbon, and I'm just going to make like a faux bow, really. And so to do that, what I want to do is make a loop. Okay, and so I can kind of put it on here. This is my loop. So it's literally, I'll show you. So it's a loop of ribbon, a circle, if you will. Okay, and so I'm going to, and I actually find snail works pretty well for this because it adheres things without it getting too thick. So I'm just going to put a little bit of snail down to kind of adhere these ends of my loop. You want to get them pretty close to the center because otherwise it'll mess with how big your loops are. I want to have a little bit of a piece hanging out behind it. So again, I'm going to put this on here. I want it to stick out just a skosh from my card. And then I'm also going to fold this in half at the end. And oops, cutting the wrong way. I'm doing that little flag end that you know I do. I can't do it with a punch on this ribbon, but I can do it with my scissors. There we go. Okay. So again, I'm going to adhere this with snail. And I'll center it up right on here, like so. And then I'm going to put a little more snail on here. Oh, actually, but I'm going to do one other thing first. I want to put the middle of the bow, and that's just this little piece. Now, I've done this in the past with glue dots, but what happens is glue dots can start to get thick because you have to have so dang many to get this all on. So, and snail, for whatever reason, really attaches nicely to this particular ribbon. Not all ribbons are the same. I'm not putting any snail on the top, just the back side. Okay, and then I've got snail on here. So I'll just adhere it like that. And that is kind of, I call that a faux bow, only because I didn't actually tie it. Okay, so isn't that pretty? All right, So we've got that on here, and we're just going to attach it to our card. Like so. I'm not popping any of those layers up because otherwise it's getting pretty thick with all the different layers I do have of cardstock. But isn't that pretty? So I like how that turned out. You could also add to this some clear Wink of Stella because really that's always a good idea. I'm just saying. So I'll just put a little clear Wink of Stella on the butterfly because I think butterflies are probably shimmery regardless. But there you go. Okay. So there's our next card. All right. Checking in on this. Remember we did this? Yeah, that's still pretty wet. So we're going to just let it be. Keep drying. All right. I earlier this year made this card. I can't remember if I shared it or not, but I really like this card and I love the layout. It's so simple, but this is so pretty. And I wanted to showcase a little printed paper and make a really simple card because some of the cards I'm doing today are a little involved, as you can see. So we're going to make a really simple card just featuring some printed paper. I'm not going to actually make this card. This was used or made with the Mosaic Madness printed paper, or whatever that mosaic paper is called. Some of them are like named the same thing as the stamp set, and some of them are named different things from the stamp set, and it's really hard to keep up. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I folded a thick Whisper White cardstock panel, and then I cut 2 pieces of Bird Ballad printed paper. This is 3 by 4, and this is 4 1/4 by 5. No, 4 by 5 1/4. Sorry. This, standard layer. All right, so I'm just going to adhere this. Woo, and things are happening. All right, I've got that on there. And then I'll adhere this piece. And you can kind of strategically cut this, but I liked that I had a bird kind of at the bottom there. And I love this printed paper because it's just so pretty and it's so easy to create projects with this. Just the paper, which is nice. All right, I'm going to pop this layer up onto my card. And one thing that I want to point out about this is when you're choosing your patterns of paper, you want to make sure you, like on this one, well, both of these really, but on this one especially, both of these patterns are pretty busy. But this is busy kind of in one color, and then this is busy in several colors. Likewise, this is a little bit less busy than, say, this pattern, but it's more subtle because you want this to be the focus. Same thing here. This is the focus. This is just kind of the background, and it looks really nice. So, anyway, then I also have a 1-inch strip by about 3 3/4 inch that I'm going to use for my sentiment. And you can see I've got plenty of room for my sweet little bird to show and be pretty. Okay, so for this, I want to use my To a Wild Rose because I just loved that blessed and to be your friend, blessed to know you, blessed and grateful, whichever combination you want to use. I just love that it is so easy to put these together. I'm going to use blessed and grateful because that's just nice. All right. And you can stamp these in whatever colors you want. I'm going to use Petal Pink, which coordinates with this paper. Well, actually, maybe I'm going to go a little darker and use Calypso Coral. Sorry, changed my mind. Woo! I did not mean to do that, though. It is not uncommon for things to come flying around my office. Okay. So again, the words are from the To a Wild Rose stamp set. Okay. So I'm going to stamp blessed kind of near the top. All right. And then I'm going to add the and grateful at the bottom, and we'll do that in soft suede. Again, you want a darker color because you're going to sort of overlap it a little bit, but you want both words to be able to be easily read. Okay. Oh, and I think I bumped it. Well, it looks all right. Blessed and grateful. And then I'm just going to stamp or adhere that right here. And actually, I'm going to pop this up because I can. And I'm going to embellish it with one thing. And I think I might have to get up to get it, so give me just a second. You know, in that right there, there's little flowery gem things. A flat package. No. Probably, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Okay. I've got some of these coordinating flower faceted gems. I actually think they go with this suite of products. I can't remember, but they'll totally work here. And so I'm just going to stick one of these on. Ooh. Let's see. There we go. And I'm just going to add it right there. And that kind of decorated it a little bit. Isn't that pretty? And you know what? Maybe I'll add another one. Because it's my card and I can add another one if I want to. Can we decide if that's too much? I don't know. I think I kind of like it. It's even. There we go. All right. So they're just a really simple card to use that printed paper, because that's comments I always get from people are, help, I have tons of printed paper. How do I use it? So that's a great card for that. Okay. Next up, we're going to do kind of just a fun card. I've got two actually cards that are going to be sort of like this. I've got a piece of Whisper White, and then I cut 3/4 inch strips of cardstock in 3 colors, and we're going to adhere them to our card. And I'm trying to remember if I was supposed to go all the way. I'm trying to remember what I had planned here. If they're supposed to overlap or butt up against each other. I think they're going to butt up against each other. All right. So I'm going to start at the bottom, and I've got Coastal Cabana, Lovely Lipstick, and Mango Melody. Okay, so you can see I'm just butting these up. I've got my piece under here is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Oops. Come on, Dana, you went to kindergarten. You can do the pattern. And these are just bright, happy colors that I happen to have on my desk. Actually, and they're they're left over from another card we're going to do with the unicorn stamp set in just a little bit. Oh. Okay, and I overlapped this last one a little bit because I wanted to leave a little bit of white space at the top. Okay, so I've got all those adhered, and I'm just going to trim off the excess. On both sides. And I just used that piece of cardstock as my guide. Okay, next I'm going to adhere this to a piece of Whisper White. That's 4 by 5 1/4. So there's just a nice white border around the edge. And then I'm going to use a stamp set I actually haven't used yet, and I was kind of excited to pull it out because I've got it. I think this was on our pre-order, but it's the Delightful Day stamp set. And this one comes, or it bundles with a new tag punch. But I actually am not going to use the tag punch on this card. Okay. Oops. I stuck that on the wrong side of the stamp. Okay. So I'm going to take and there we go. I'm going to take and stamp on my scrap. The little leaves on here, and then the flowers in Coastal Cabana, like that. Okay, and do you see how they're kind of weird? The orientation is a little goofy. And I also had a little hair on here, so there's a little line, but we're going to get over that. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to punch this with my story label punch, like so. Isn't that cute? And then my sentiment is going to go right over the top. But I don't actually, now that I'm doing this, I don't think I want it to. So I'm going to put it down here, and actually it's going to work just fine. All right, now for this, I'm going to drop my embossing buddy over the top of that. And I'm going to stamp in Versamark. Which is somewhere on my table here. Okay. Now this you can do with a lot of different stamps. It's up to you. Oh, here we go. I grabbed the wrong embossing folder or powder. So I'm going to emboss this in white. And because I've got 3 layers on here of cardstock, I'm just going to heat it from the top. Often I do it from the back. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right. Then we're going to take our punch and you know what? Well, okay. I die cut some leaves from the, maybe I'm just going to do the vellum ones. I die cut some leaves from the Winter Woods framelits. And I'm actually changing this up a little bit from what I originally had intended. So I'm going to add, well, no, that's not going to work either. Let's try this 2-inch punch. I'm going to add a circle behind here. Is that what I want? No? This isn't coming together how it was supposed to in my head. That's okay. I'm going to pop this up. And then tuck these under. Use glue dots to kind of here stick them down. I hate it when a card was better in your head than it was in real life. And that is definitely what this one was. This is not what I had in my mind. And this is one of those where I should have tried it out before I did it with you. But that's okay. That's not bad. I thought there would be a little more space at the top, and then it was going to fit a little better, but oh well. Live and learn. It is what it is. Okay, so then we're going to put it on here. And I'm going to add a little bow with some white baker's twine right across here. And this will look okay. I've had a ton of people commenting that they can't see comments on my lives lately, and I'm not sure why that is. But I've had like a way larger than normal number of people. If anybody can help with the commenting, that would be awesome, because I'm not sure what it is and I can't really do much about it while I'm trying to stamp here. So sorry about that. Okay, so I've just tied a bow, and this is all right. It's just not quite what I would like envisioned in my brain. Do you guys ever have that where you make something and it's so not what you thought it was going to be? That's kind of the story of my life. Okay, there we go. Next up, let's come back to this and see how we're doing. It's pretty dry. I'm going to dry it from the back a little bit, take some of the moisture out. So if you weren't here with me at the very beginning, I put down a layer of glue on here. I think that got some more of the moisture out because it feels drier. And it's still tacky. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some color on over this to create kind of a sky. And for that, I'm going to use my pigment sprinkles because I love them. They're so much fun. And if you recall, this was my shameless plug for my Friend Like You Creativity to Go kit this month. And if you haven't signed up for it, you're so missing out. It is amazing. It's so good. I really, 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 really love the card. Okay, so to do this, like I said, I'm going to use my pigment sprinkles, and I'm going to use the Melon Mambo and the Gorgeous Grape. Now, whenever you use your pigment sprinkles, I want to point out that I have covered up, of the 3 holes, I have covered up 2.5 of them with washi tape. That is because they come out way too fast and there's way too much and you don't want that much. Okay, so coming back to this, to remind you what I have here, I've got a piece of watercolor paper. I have put down a circle. I smeared a circle of liquid glue on there and I allowed it to dry. It's still tacky, like you can see my fingers sticking to it, but it's mostly dry. And when I heat it from the back, I can feel the back's not moist anymore, and you're welcome for that. Okay, now what I want to do is take and use my spritzer to just add some water to this. And I might add that this card is one of the cards that didn't make the cut in the class. So the class is amazing. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting some of the pigment sprinkles towards the bottom, like so, in Melon Mambo. Then I'll do some of the Gorgeous Grape ones at the top, like so. So pretty. Okay, then I'm going to smear them around, and here's my crappy aqua painter, and this is for sure what you do with your crappy aqua painter, is you smear this stuff around. Okay, and I'm getting a little more mixing than I kind of wanted, but that's okay, we'll make it work. All right, so I'm going to get rid of some of that color. And you can see I'm going right over the top of that glue. Okay, and then I'm going to get my Aqua Painter to be clean, and then I'll go across the bottom, going all the way out to the edges, like so, and blending the color. All right, looks pretty good. I'm going to put just a little more pink down here to get more pink. Okay, so you can see I kind of have a gradation of color from pink to purple. All right, now if you want it lighter, use less pigment sprinkles. And you saw I didn't even sprinkle that much on there, but the color is very, very vivid, is it not? Okay, so next up, I'm going to get rid of this so I don't make a mess. Okay, and then I'm actually going to take my Night of Navy ink pad. I'm going to squeeze it and take up a little of this ink. Just add a little bit of Night of Navy at the very top, and then just kind of blend it into the purple. Okay, so that's just one more color. And this kind of, to me, looks like a sunset sky, like a late sunset. All right, close that up. All right, now I'm also going to take and heat this. I'm being a little careful because I don't want to heat my glue per se, but I do want to heat the rest of the stuff around it. And I can heat it from the back too, that will work. Okay, and now I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. We're going to come back to this in a minute. Okay, so I've got one more card besides this one to finish up for you today. Sorry, this one had to go in stages, but it's so cool, and I hope you're going to love it. All right, for our final card, sort of, because we're going to come back to it, we're going to do Leave a Little Sparkle. So I've had a lot of requests for the unicorn set, as it's kind of lovingly referred to as, and I just got this last week. It came. So kind of like that card we did just a minute ago, I'm going to do a little rainbow of cardstock. Okay, so I have my lovely rainbow here, and I picked these based on the coordinating colors of Stampin' Blends so that I can stamp my unicorn and blend it out. All right. So once again, I've got these strips. They're 3/4 of an inch, and I have 7 of them. And I actually did the math, and it should work out just fine on this 4 by 5 1/4 inch strip of white cardstock that I'm gluing them to. And just like before, we'll snip those ends off. Okay. Now, I've also had people ask me if I've used the new Sparkle. I think it's called Sparkle. It's the new embossing powder. It comes in clear sparkle and it comes in black sparkle. And the answer to that is I literally haven't even tried it yet. I do have it now, but I haven't tried it yet. So I'm a little hesitant to do this because I'm not sure how it will look on here. But look at that rainbow. I mean, if that doesn't make you happy, I don't know what would. I love the look of that. And just like before, we'll trim off these edges. You could probably throw this in your trimmer to be nice and even, but this is easy too. Okay. Can't help it. I think that might be a little crooked, but that's all right. All right, so there we go. Super cute. I'm going to set that aside. Then what I'm going to do is take my unicorn and stamp on a scrap of Whisper White in Memento ink. And I just got to find my Memento ink pad. Oh, my black Memento. It can't be far.
It's in your second drawer.
No, it's not. Because I was dumb this weekend. I have double duplicates of them, and I pulled out the extras thinking I won't need more than one. And I neglected to realize that every time I stamp something and set it somewhere I can't find it, that I need 2 or probably 3. I used it earlier today, so it can't be far. Ah! Or if you go out in the classroom area. Oh no, it's right here. Sorry. Found it. I hope you guys are laughing with me. This is the story of my life. Okay. So I'm going to just stamp this glorious unicorn on here in black Memento. Look at that baby. Okay. For some reason I'm thinking of Game of Thrones, but I know those are dragons, not unicorns, but you never know what happens in Game of Thrones. It could be anything. All right. So I've got that on here, and then what I'm going to do is take and use this same rainbow, with the, same blends. And I believe I took the dark of every one of those blends. The name of the stamp set is Leave a Little Sparkle, or as I like to call it, the unicorn stamp set. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to color the whole thing, but rather I'm going to color the mane. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of color on the mane in this rainbow. All right. And I'm going to put a little pink inside her ear because I'm going to. Oh, and I got to do the tail as well. Okay. So I'm not really blending. I'm just going to add all the colors of the rainbow on the mane. I'm going to leave my unicorn nice and white. Now, as I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, I'm halfway through on the mane in colors, so I want to make sure I've got enough color. I might come back and add just a little more melon. And then I've got granny apple green. And then I've got Bermuda Bay. This is actually the light Bermuda Bay. That's, I think, the only color I did the light version of. Just because the dark is kind of dark. And the color I chose for the cardstock was Calypso Coral because I thought it looked better than Bermuda Bay. So there you have it. Okay, and then we'll do Highland Heather. And look at that glorious rainbow mane. It's wonderful. Okay, so there we go. Now, does this not remind you of a Lisa Frank sticker? Please tell me you know what that is. Do you know what that is?
I know what that is.
Okay, she does. Whew. That sums up.
Get to get one.
Oh, that sums up my childhood. Was wanting those stickers. I loved stickers as a kid.
Trapper keepers.
Trapper keepers. Okay, now I'm fussy cutting this glorious rainbow mane. Because it is just glorious. Okay. So if you're just joining, we're using the Leave a Little Sparkle stamp set. I'm fussy cutting this glorious unicorn that I've colored the mane with a rainbow of Stampin' Blends. Not really blending them, just kind of running one color into the next. And then I'm going to put it on the base that I've created with 3/4 inch strips of the coordinating colors of cardstock to the blends that I used. And I am kind of a stickler and I go all up into that detailed mess here. Because I think it looks good. Okay. Ooh. You know, I wouldn't say that I love fussy cutting, but I don't mind it too much. I don't like it if I have to fussy cut more than maybe one or two things at a time. But just doing one like this, it's no big deal. I did a butterfly earlier. It didn't kill me. Now this is a little bit more complicated. I wouldn't want to do a bunch of these, but it's the kind of thing I don't mind doing, like if I'm sitting in front of the TV especially. That doesn't bother me. Okay. So we're just about there. Now we're going to add a little sparkle to this, of course. You've got to. I mean, we've got a rainbow unicorn. Why wouldn't we? Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Look at my rainbow unicorn.
It's not pooping jelly beans.
It's not pooping jelly beans. Nope. But isn't it awesome? Yep. That was my husband. I know, I'm thinking I could use this set to make lots of really inappropriate cards, but okay. Do I make cards for your personal use, or do you strictly design for business? Well, of course I make cards for my personal use, but I also use them in my business. All right. So look at this, you guys. How awesome is that? All right. I'm going to take my clear wink of Stella and I'm going to color the unicorn horn with a little clear wink of Stella. I'm also going to put just a little on the hooves. It's a little teeny detail, but I like it. So there. Okay. Now we're going to pop this whole bad boy up on here. And the big question now is which way to stamp our sentiment. Like I said, I haven't used that sparkle embossing folder or powder. And so I want to, I guess, be careful not to ruin this because I don't know how it's going to work. And I guess what I'm really not sure is whether or not the detail will come out in this word. So I'm going to do just my regular white embossing powder. Okay. Oh, silver. Yeah, we could do that. That's actually a good idea. I think I have some. This is, this is silver. Okay. So I did my embossing buddy on there. I'm going to use my Versamark. And I'm going to stamp this on like so. And then I've got some silver powder. By the way, I've created just a ginormous mess on my desk. But I'm going to leave a little sparkle wherever I go, so it's okay. Okay, so there we go. I probably, if I did this again, I would do it so the word sparkle would be all on one color, but that's getting kind of picky. All right, so we're gonna do this and we'll pop this awesome unicorn up onto our card. So fun. And I'm putting kind of, I never use this many dimensionals, but we're going all out on this dang thing. There we go. And I'm actually going to cut a couple in half for the legs. Put one right there and a skinny one right there. And I think I can actually get one under the tail here. Okay, so look at this ridiculous thing. All right. I'm definitely can see a meme. If I could figure out a way to get a sloth on the back of this unicorn, I'd really have something. Okay. Now, if this is not like a 8-year-old girl's birthday card, I don't know what would be. But I also think this would work pretty well as a card for a friend. This would definitely brighten up anybody's day. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to add anything else to it because I don't want to ruin this glorious beast. Okay. So there we go. Oh my gosh. I know I don't ever use that many dimensionals, but man, I wanted this baby to stick up nicely on my card. Isn't that awesome? I'm pretty skimpy when it comes to dimensionals most of the time, and I go through a bazillion of them. So there you go. That'd be a great 60th birthday card. I think you're right. All right, so let's come back to our card here and see how this baby is coming. Now, what we're actually going to do, and this really helps if you have one of these old adhesive removers, but actually I used my finger and it worked pretty well. You just want to make sure you have a clean finger. I am actually going to remove the adhesive that I put down on this card. So while I'm doing this, I'll explain what I did just in case you missed it or you're coming in fresh. And I will tell you that it actually took me a little while to do this when I made my original card. But if we get to the point where I don't want to mess with it any longer, I'll show you my final project. So you can see I'm actually pulling my finger. And again, you want to have a clean finger to do this. But I took a piece of watercolor paper. I took some liquid glue, my liquid glue, and I drew a circle on here. It looked a little more perfect at the time, but you can see I drew that on here and I let it dry. And then I helped it along just a little on the back side by heating it just to dry the, you could feel it was moist right there. And you're welcome for using that word. I also, once it was fairly dry, and look, I'm just going to pull this little, I know this is a little gross, but I'm pulling off that adhesive booger, and I'll just kind of keep doing it until I get all the adhesive off. And this is a little bit of a labor of love. Now, you can do this with, it's in the art world, it's called Frisket. It's like masking fluid. And I think it comes off a little easier than this adhesive. It's not quite as tacky. Rubber cement. Oh, that's a good idea. I don't have any rubber cement. So, and I mean, let's be honest, we'd all get high if I used rubber cement. So anyway, I'm just continuing to do this. And it, like I said, it's a little bit of a labor of love, but it's worth it. Now, once it was tacky, I then put my pigment sprinkles over the top, and I used the Melon Mambo and the Gorgeous Grape pigment sprinkles, and I watercolored them, and I added a little bit of Night and Navy at the very tip top to get a nice night sky. This is kind of like the very end of a sunset, I guess. And you can see I'm really working on it. Actually, my arm's getting tired because I'm putting my muscle into this. But I'm literally just getting the adhesive boogers off. And I know it's so gross. I couldn't get any higher. I know. See, I think rubber cement would be dangerous for a person like me. Okay. We're almost there, you guys. We're just about there. Will heating it help remove it? Actually, I don't think so. I think heating it would actually make it harder to remove, to be completely honest. All right, but we are getting so close. I can feel it. And when I worked on this card, I worked on this one over the weekend, and I put it away and came back to it a couple times as I was removing the adhesive, just because it was getting a little annoying. But oh, look at that. There we are. Okay. Now, the reason I went to all the trouble to do all of that is because I really think it looked great, and I smeared, no, I didn't. I was going to say I smeared some of the pigment, but I didn't. It's more glue. I really liked the look of it like this. Now, I know one alternative would be to to stamp a circle and emboss it with clear powder, but then you're left with a shiny. And I really liked this being nice and matte finished, I guess. Okay. So there you go. That's what it looked like. Again, it wasn't too bad. Now, I also have die cut this from my set, and I'm going to put it right over the top like that. How cool is that, you guys? Okay. But first, before I do that, I want to stamp the sentiment that comes with this stamp set. And here's the real true test. This is the last stamp I need, and where is it on my desk? It's like so many things. I had it out earlier, but can I find it now? Oh. Where did it go? And it's clear, so that doesn't help. Okay. Well, this one might be one of those where I show you the final product. So I'm just going to stamp the sentiment on here, heat emboss it in white powder, okay? And then I'm also going to take and add some of the little dragonflies. They come in the stamp set. Again, this is Friend Like You. And the sentiment is from Friend Like You. And then I'm going to show you the final version. So I'll just stamp those little dragonflies up there. You could also like make them into fireflies if you wanted to. Yeah, it's on a block. I just can't find it. And honestly, I'm running so long that it's okay. So here's what the final version of my card looks like. So I heat embossed this in white, and then I trimmed it out and then just mounted it on a white card. Isn't that awesome? So I love this. And again, shameless plug, this is for my Friend Like You Creativity to Go kit, which comes out next week for my online classes. And if you register for it by this week, you can also add my summer camp on at a $10 discount, which is kind of awesome. And lots of people have asked what summer camp is. This is an event I used to hold in person, but I am not holding this one in person now. It is basically a day of stamping projects. You will get all the stuff you need to make. I think I've got 15 different projects. Most of them are cards, but a few of them are like a boxed set of cards. One is a decor item. So, and if you don't like the decor item, you can turn them into cards, so it's fine. But it's really awesome, and they're really, really, really fun projects. So you will enjoy them, all of them. And all of my classes come with written instructions, video tutorials, photos, extra ideas, and it's just a lot of good stuff. I've never had anybody say anything bad about any of my online classes. So there you go. Summer camp comes out next week, as does the Creativity to Go class. And they are both awesome projects, and they come with product, which is pretty fun. So the Creativity to Go kit is $35. You get $20 in product. It's mailed to you, and you get all the pre-cut cardstock to make 8 cards. My summer camp is $75 plus shipping. It includes it's over $50 in product. All the pre-cut cardstock to make all of those projects. Like I said, there's probably 20 some cards plus a decor item, and you could take that decor item and turn it into cards if you weren't into the decor item. I get that. And then you get all of the tutorials and everything. So 2 awesome things. So let me show you all the cards I made today. So this one came in several steps. This was our first no-line watercoloring card. Then we made this beautiful frame card, and we talked in detail about how to emboss with our new style embossing folders and the old style folders, just as a primer. I used a little printed paper on this simple card. I did the stripes on this one, kind of with the leftover paper from this one, and it wasn't quite what I wanted, but it turned out all right. And then we made this glorious rainbow unicorn card. So anyway, these will get posted up on my blog, hopefully later this week. Let me write out a few little nuggets of information for you. So of course, share, like, and comment the video on Facebook or YouTube, and then you'll be entered in drawing for free stamps. Also, hey, will you grab the little thing that on my computer with the host code for August? Also, when you order $75 or more, thank you, and use the host code, and you got to use the host code, D29Z2CTH, you'll get a free embossing plate. It's that new $10 plate that I showed you, the blue one. And that's for the new 3D embossing folders. Okay. And that is a free gift from now until Sunday, which I believe is the 25th. Okay. You do need to use the host code to get the special thing. You'll also get a PDF of fabulous projects from me as well. So that's kind of awesome. If you want to go to the fall retreat, and you do, because it's going to be epic. Spaces are filling really fast. I'm almost out of space. I only had like 9 spots left, and I know a couple people registered right before I went live. So if you're thinking about going, get registered. You only need to put $25 down to reserve your spot. Your full payment isn't due, I think, until I want to say September 15th or September 30th. I can't remember. But make sure you get that because I am running out of space. There's also a to-go version, and I'm actually almost at capacity for that as well. So check that out. The retreat is $169 to come in person. It includes, if you stay at the hotel, it includes all your breakfasts. And then your meals on Saturday, and breakfast Sunday. And then dinner is on your own Friday. That's the only one only meal it doesn't include. It also includes an awesome goodie bag. It includes meals. It includes prizes, games, and tons of projects, make and take projects. It'll be similar to summer camp, or like my camps in terms of how many there'll be, maybe a few extra. And then you'll have time to work on your own projects if you'd like to bring some things with. There will be so much fun. There's also going to be an optional swap. There's going to be an optional shoebox swap. So it's pretty awesome. I think you guys, if you can come, definitely come. I also have set up some things to help you find roommates if you'd like a roommate. Our hotel's $114 a night, so it's a really reasonable price. I will also help you find carpools if there's anybody near where you're coming from. I know I've got people signed up from St. Louis, from Omaha, Indiana, Chicago, Minneapolis, and well, I can't tell you for sure if they have room in their cars. That's where people are coming from. I have people flying in from 2 people are coming from Washington State. They're flying in. I'm so amazed. And then I think I have somebody on the East Coast too. I can't remember. So a lot of people are coming, of course, from Iowa, all over the place in Iowa, and Illinois. But I would love to have you come. We are going to have an amazing time. It will be a fabulous creative escape for you. So I hope you can join us. If not, you can still participate in all the games and prizes and fun things on my Facebook group. If you can't come live, you can join virtually and still enjoy some of that fun stuff. And of course, you'll be entered into earn prizes and gifts and all of that fabulousness. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day.